Hey, welcome to today's video. Have you ever wondered why you keep struggling in the love department? Do you think that constantly chasing and pursuing a girl will make her fall for you? Let me tell you, that's a misconception. Women don't want a man who's always hovering around them. They want someone they have to work for. They want a guy who exudes confidence and strength, even without bragging. Think about it. When you start chasing her, you've already put yourself in a lower position. And women, they're very perceptive. They can sense that right away. And when she senses that, the attraction vanishes. But if you turn the tables, show her that you're not as easy as she thinks, she'll have to change her tune immediately. Today, I'm going to show you how to do just that. Are you ready to reverse the situation, make her work hard to get you? For years, we've been brainwashed with the idea that the more you try, the more she'll love you. But the harsh truth is, the more you try, the further she runs. Be honest, haven't you ever exhausted yourself planning romantic dates, texting all night long, showering her with gifts, and yet she still ignores you? That's because the more you give, the less she values you. Think about it. When was the last time you really craved something that was given away for free? It's scarcity that creates value. Similarly, when you stop chasing her, you become an attractive challenge, a reward she has to work for. This is your chance to change the game. Are you ready to turn the tables? Number 1, what is the no contact rule? The no contact rule is a powerful psychological strategy that many people have used in relationships to rekindle interest from the other person. Specifically, this rule requires you to completely cease all contact with her for a certain period of time, usually from 1 to 4 weeks. This is not only to create physical distance, but also to give you and the other person time and space to reflect on your feelings. This rule is built on a fairly simple but extremely effective principle. Scarcity often increases the value of an object, which has been proven by philosophy and psychology over the centuries. The philosophical idea of scarcity can be linked to the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, who once said that people often crave what they cannot have. When you no longer appear in her life, it creates a void and makes her question your absence. This evokes an emotional deficit that she may not have realized before. Scarcity not only increases your value in her eyes, but also gives her the opportunity to better understand your value in her life. However, the no contact rule is not simply about disappearing from her life. Your implementation of this rule needs to be from a position of confidence and purpose. No contact does not mean you are deliberately manipulating someone else's emotions, but it is a way for you to protect your self-worth and not accept any disrespect. When applied correctly, this rule not only brings positive results in terms of emotions, but also helps you improve your self-confidence and personal independence. Imagine you are a man trying his best to save a relationship. You constantly text, call, and always try to appear in her life. This, invisibly, creates a lot of pressure for her and can make her feel like she's losing her personal space. For example, a man named James shared that he once tried everything to regain his girlfriend's affection after she started to become distant. James constantly texted and tried to meet her in a private place, but the result was that she avoided him more and more. When James decided to apply the no contact rule, at first he found it very difficult, but after a few weeks, a miracle happened. She started texting him, even showing that she missed him and wanted to see him again. This change came from her feeling the lack of his presence and beginning to realize the value of the relationship. The essence of the no contact rule lies in creating a difference and letting the other person discover your value on their own. When you stop constantly showing up and spend time for yourself, you give her the opportunity to reflect and feel your importance in her life. This is the time for her to realize that you are not a given, and a relationship with you is not easy to come by without effort from both sides. Finally, the no-contact rule is not just a way to recreate attraction in a relationship, but also an opportunity for you to listen to yourself. Take this time to ask yourself what you really want, where your value lies, and whether this relationship is really worth investing in. When you learn to listen to yourself and understand your worth, you will become more attractive not only to her, but to anyone around you. Remember, listening and understanding not only applies to the other person, but first and foremost to yourself. This will help you build a better quality and more sustainable relationship in the future. Number 2. Why no contact might not work. No contact can be ineffective because it's often applied from a place of weakness and fear. According to existentialist philosophy, the anxiety of abandonment can cause people to lose themselves and become dependent on the idea of controlling the situation to obtain love. Jean-Paul Sartre once said, "Hell is other people," implying that attempts to control others can lead to suffering. When you decide to cut off contact in the hopes that the other person will come back, you may inadvertently put yourself in a state of dependence on the outcome, and this makes the rule no longer beneficial. More specifically, the no-contact rule is only truly effective when you genuinely want to give both of you time and space to reflect, not as a tool to manipulate her emotions. If you have ever confessed your feelings too desperately or acted from a place of insecurity, then no contact may be seen by her as an act of avoidance or a reaction of weakness. This only further confirms to her that you are not someone worth pursuing. A practical example to better illustrate this is the story of Nam, a guy who always chased his ex-girlfriend by cutting off contact completely in the hopes that she would miss him. However, because Nam had always displayed insecurity and lack of confidence, when he decided to go no contact, she did not feel the loss or need to return. Instead, she sensed his instability, and this did not create attraction. Instead of arousing curiosity or desire, Nam created a sense of relief for her. Social psychology also indicates that people often do not appreciate what is readily available or easy. When you appear too easy or put yourself in a dependent position, you are no longer an attractive challenge. The no-contact rule only works when it is done with confidence and not from a place of lack. You need to be truly ready to move on with your life without her, and that creates a natural attraction that may make her want to come back. In conclusion, the no-contact rule is not a tool to control or manipulate someone else's emotions. To build a quality relationship, it is more important to listen and understand the other person, rather than trying to manipulate their emotions. Remember, a lasting relationship is built on respect, understanding, and sincere communication. Instead of cutting off contact and hoping for a miracle, apply listening skills to build a deep and lasting connection with the one you love. Number 3. Recognizing the early signs. Recognizing the early signs when she starts to pull away is a crucial skill every man should master if he wants to build a lasting and quality relationship. These signs are often subtle, like small changes in her attitude or behavior. Sometimes you may notice that she no longer laughs as naturally as before, or starts to avoid your intimate gestures. These seemingly trivial expressions are actually signals that her feelings are cooling down. Detecting these signs early will help you adjust your behavior in a timely manner, avoiding a state of emotional loss of control or overreacting. Connecting to philosophy, we can see that recognizing early signs is how we apply Socrates' philosophy of understanding oneself and others. As Socrates once said, the unexamined life is not worth living. To maintain a romantic relationship, you need to reflect on and understand the changes in your partner as well as yourself. The change in her attitude, the fewer gestures, the lack of enthusiasm, all are things you need to ponder and understand rather than react emotionally and thoughtlessly. A practical example that can illustrate the importance of recognizing early signs is the story of a man named Brian. Brian realized that his girlfriend had recently been talking to him less, no longer excited to share everyday, trivial stories. Initially, Brian felt anxious and wanted to pull her back by showing more concern than usual. He constantly texted her to ask, offered to meet more often. However, this only made his girlfriend feel suffocated and want to avoid him. Finally, Brian decided to stop and observe more calmly. He no longer pressured, but instead, he chose to give her time to herself and focus on personal interests. Brian realized that he needed to understand more about the feelings of both of them, and changing his approach helped the relationship gradually improve. Thus, the important thing is not only to recognize the early signs, but also to know how to react appropriately and skillfully. This is when you need Stoic philosophy. Stoicism is not about being indifferent or cold, but about calmness and the ability to control one's emotions in the face of events. When you realize she is showing signs of pulling away instead of panicking or doing things that make her feel pressured, choose to be calm, self-respecting, and not let yourself sink into negative emotions. You need to understand that sometimes creating enough distance is the way to pull her back. In conclusion, recognizing early signs not only gives you the opportunity to adjust your behavior, but also helps you become more confident and attractive in the eyes of your partner. Apply Stoic philosophy to always keep yourself calm, knowing when to move forward and when to step back. This is the key to building a quality relationship where both people feel comfortable and appreciate each other. Number 4, the emotional quicksand. Emotional quicksand is a state that many men fall into when they realize the woman they love is slipping away. From worry to panic, they gradually lose control, leading to desperate actions such as constant confessions of love, showering gifts, apologizing profusely. Things that, instead of pulling her back, only push her further away. To better understand this, we can relate to a philosophical concept, the vicious cycle of desire, mentioned by philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Friedrich Nietzsche. When we want something too much, we make it the center of our existence, making ourselves dependent on it. Just like when you sink deep into emotional quicksand, you are no longer yourself, and confidence, what women always look for, is gradually replaced by anxiety and despair. Imagine you are trapped in quicksand. The more you panic and try to get out, the deeper you sink. Similarly, when she starts to pull away, the more you panic and cling to the relationship, the easier it is to lose value in her eyes. A practical example is the guys who constantly text her asking what she is doing, with whom, and why she doesn't reply immediately. This behavior not only makes her feel pressured, but also loses the necessary freedom in a relationship. The fact is, she will feel that you are no longer a challenge but a burden, and then the relationship is difficult to maintain. The only way to overcome this emotional quicksand is Stoicism, a philosophy that helps you control your emotions and not let yourself get caught up in uncontrolled desires. Stoicism is not about becoming cold or indifferent, but about knowing how to control yourself, realizing that you cannot control other people's emotions. You can only control your own actions and thoughts. When you start practicing Stoicism, you will automatically reduce your dependence on her and thereby create a natural attraction. You become the one she wants to conquer, not the one who always has to try to hold on to her. Instead of panicking and sinking into emotional quicksand, learn to maintain your self-worth. Ask yourself, are my actions driven by confidence or by the fear of losing her? If the answer leans towards fear, stop and adjust your behavior. By applying the principles of Stoicism, you can maintain your composure, create attraction from within, and build a higher quality, more sustainable relationship. Don't forget, only when you are truly in control of yourself can you give the other person a sense of security and respect, and that is the foundation of a strong relationship. Number 5, mirroring her behavior. Mirroring her behavior is a subtle yet incredibly effective skill in regaining balance in a relationship. When she starts to reduce interaction, mirroring that reduction sends the message that you are not always available and easily controlled by her. This can trigger anxiety in her that you are pulling away, which may lead her to become more proactive in maintaining contact and connecting with you. Imagine a specific example. You and she used to have a habit of texting every evening, but recently she has started to lose her enthusiasm, often replying late or even ignoring your messages. Instead of panicking and trying to text more, you should mirror this behavior. Reduce the frequency of texting, not to play mind games, but to let her understand that you have value and will not accept indifference. One evening, instead of texting first, you could go to the gym, do something for yourself, and wait for her to initiate contact. This not only shows her that you are not dependent on the relationship, but also creates space for her to realize your value. Another example is when she starts refusing to see you or intends to find ways to postpone appointments. Instead of begging or pressuring, give her space and adjust your priorities as well. You can focus on personal hobbies, connect with friends, or even explore new activities. When she sees that you are still living a meaningful life and not too bothered by her change, she may feel a loss of control and worry about losing your attention. This absence and scarcity can make you more attractive in her eyes. Most importantly, you need to stay calm and confident. Mirroring her behavior is not about retaliation, but about re-establishing balance and mutual respect in the relationship. Remember that you should not play the role of the person who is always willing to do anything just to get her attention. Instead, maintain your self-worth. Create the feeling that you have a rich life and she needs to make an effort if she wants to be a part of it. To successfully apply this skill, you need to apply Stoic thinking. This means that you must learn to control your emotions, not get caught up in changes from the other person. Stoicism does not mean that you are indifferent or cold, but that you know how to adjust your emotions and behavior accordingly, thereby building a healthy and sustainable relationship. Remember, attraction comes from confidence and self-control. When you know how to mirror behavior subtly, you not only maintain respect from her, but also create a quality relationship where both of you make an effort to preserve and grow. Number 6, turning the tables. In any relationship, knowing how to turn the tables when needed is an important skill that helps you not only maintain attraction, but also create real value for yourself. This requires clear judgment, balanced emotional investment, and knowing when to set boundaries. We will delve into 3 main factors that help you turn the tables effectively. Firstly, it is crucial to accurately assess the other person's worth. Sometimes, when you are attracted to a certain trait of theirs, such as compatibility or appearance, you can easily idealize them and overlook other aspects. This can lead to you spending too much of your mind and energy on someone who doesn't actually deserve your effort. Remember, everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and no one is perfect. As a practical example, imagine meeting someone who is very compatible in communication, and you immediately feel that they are your ideal person. You start investing too much in the relationship without realizing that they don't have the same goals or don't care about you in a reciprocal way. As a result, you will easily get hurt and feel like you have wasted your efforts. In such situations, you need to learn to see the person clearly and realistically, avoiding letting your initial emotions overwhelm your reason. Assessing the other person's worth accurately is key to preventing you from falling into an unbalanced relationship situation. Secondly, invest in the relationship in proportion to what the other person is investing. A healthy relationship is always based on fair exchange and mutual care. If you give too much without getting anything back, you will soon feel exhausted and lose your self-worth. For example, if you are the one who always takes the initiative to plan dates, always texts to ask, and always thinks about making the other person happy, while they don't care to reciprocate, then that relationship is clearly out of balance. You need to understand that giving does not always bring appreciation from the other person. Let them also make an effort to maintain the relationship. This helps balance the roles of both in the relationship and makes the other person understand that you have value and are not easy to possess. A practical example might be that you are not always the one to start the conversation or plan every meeting. Instead, let the other person also have a responsibility in maintaining this connection. When the investment from both sides is balanced, the relationship will become more sustainable and less stressful. Finally, know when to set boundaries and ask for what you want from the relationship. The time to set demands and boundaries is when you are in a position of strength, or when the other person shows that they really want to maintain a relationship with you. Don't hesitate to make legitimate demands about commitment or treatment when you feel it's time. This not only helps you protect your worth, but also makes the other person understand that they cannot take you for granted. For a practical example, imagine you are in the stage where the other person starts to come back to you after a period of distance. This is the time for you to set specific requirements, such as the need for both of you to be more serious or to define the relationship more clearly. Setting clear boundaries when you have the advantage will make the other person understand that this relationship is valuable and they need to respect it. To turn things around in a relationship, it's important to be alert and know how to balance emotions and reason. Do not idealize the other person just because of some initial attractive points. Invest emotionally in a balanced way and know when to set boundaries to protect yourself. These are important skills for you to avoid becoming dependent and always maintain your worth. Stoicism, that is restraint and self-retrieve in the face of emotional fluctuations, will help you build a quality relationship where you don't get caught up in the spiral of dependence and anxiety. When you are in control of your emotions and not afraid of losing the other person, that is what will make you more attractive in their eyes. Remember, a relationship is a journey of two people, and only when both make an effort can love truly be lasting and fulfilling. Women are often attracted to confident men who know their worth and don't easily become dependent on their emotions. A confident man will show that he can live a fulfilling life, unshaken by uncertainty in the relationship. This not only helps him create an attractive appearance, but also helps him build a healthier relationship where both sides respect and appreciate each other. The no-contact rule is only effective when you are truly confident and don't use it as a tool to manipulate her emotions. Instead, create enough distance so she can feel your value and awaken the desire to return from her side. A real-life example that clearly illustrates this argument is the story of my friend David. David was once in a relationship with a girl he loved for almost a year. However, after a while, he realized that she had become cold, less interactive, and even seemed to have lost interest in the relationship. Instead of falling into a state of anxiety and despair like many others, David chose to focus on himself. He spent time developing his career, exercising, meeting friends, and building his personal life to be richer. In essence, he applied the no-contact rule subtly, without making her feel manipulated. After about 2 weeks, something unexpected happened. She started texting him first, asking questions and actively initiating meetings. She felt that David was no longer dependent on the relationship, and this made her rethink the fact that she might lose a valuable man. David did not chase after her, but instead, he created a life attractive enough to make her feel that she needed to try to regain his attention. In the end, she came back and the relationship became better than before, with balance and respect from both sides. It is this scarcity that creates your value. When you are no longer easily accessible, you become a reward that others have to work for. This is not for you to become intentionally distant or disingenuous, but to maintain a level of autonomy and self-respect in the relationship. A man who knows his worth will not allow others to easily control his emotions, and this is what makes him more attractive in the eyes of women. In conclusion, if you want to build a quality and lasting relationship, learn to apply Stoic skills. Stoicism does not mean that you have no emotions, but that you control them and do not let them dominate your behavior. Focus on self-development, becoming a man of value, and constantly seeking improvement in both personal and emotional life. When you truly understand your worth and act with confidence and autonomy, women will naturally be attracted to and desire to be with you. Let her try for you instead of you having to try to hold on to her.